All right, so as Steve kind of alluded to, I guess I'll start off on like why I started a YouTube channel and what that was all about. So for many years, over a decade, I ran a marketing agency, and it was a fairly successful local marketing agency. Kind of like Doc, I knew what SEO was before most people knew what SEO was. So if you were to Google graphic design, generally my agency came up because I knew how to do SEO. So worked in that business for a lot of years. I had 4 or 5 employees, not a huge business, but I decided to start a podcast about 6 years ago. It was called Private Club Radio, and I wanted to educate people, and I wanted to just bring a lead flow into my agency. I was working with private golf and country clubs around the world. Became a successful podcast for what that could possibly be. There's only 7,000 clubs in the world, but I had a pretty good market share of those 7,000 people. So my next thing, I'm a creative person, like probably a lot of people in this room, and I like to try new things. I said, well, it'd be great to have a YouTube channel for a couple of reasons. First of all, I was going around the world speaking at conferences about how to market a private club, how to build your membership. And I was getting access to some of the most amazing places on the entire planet. I walked into the Harvard Club in Boston once, and it was like walking into Hogwarts Academy. If you've ever watched Harry Potter, it was like this ornate place. And I was standing at the top of a hill in Northern Ireland, overlooking the Irish Sea and this beautiful golf club and all these wonderful places. Like, man, it'd be cool just to show people what I'm doing, because you wouldn't believe it unless you got to see it. And then the number 2 reason I wanted to start a YouTube channel was because I had 2 young children. I have 2 young children. They're 5 and 8 now, but at the time they were just a couple years old. And I thought, I never knew my grandfather. I never met the man. He died before I was born. Will my children really know my father? So I thought, well, this would be a cool way just to kind of let my grandchildren know what their grandfather was like, right? Anyone have any connection to something like that? Do you want to do a YouTube channel just for a little bit of posterity's sake? Yeah. So those are my 2 main motivations. Now, of course, the pandemic started, and what I was doing is I had a golf travel show. I was going around the world and I was playing golf. We were in Dubai. I was in Oman. I was in like I said, the British Isles, those sorts of places, South America. Well, when the pandemic hit, there was no more traveling to be done, right? And at the same time, my marketing agency, the exact same thing happened. The complete brakes got shut out. Nobody was marketing. Nobody wanted to start a business. There was no logos being designed. There was no branding to make. So I kept doing my videos, but I wasn't doing travel videos. And I got really lucky. I got really lucky in the fact that I decided to review a smartwatch, a Garmin watch. And the reason I decided to do that Garmin watch is because I had been to Oman and I wanted to do a show about this club I had played in Oman. And Greg Norman, a famous golfer, if you know golf, had actually designed that course. And he was at the PGA show over in Orlando talking about the Garmin watch. And they asked me, hey, do you want to interview Greg Norman, for Private Club Radio to talk about Garmin watches? So sure. That wasn't what my show was about, but that's what my show became, because when I put that video out, I'd been doing these travel vlogs that took me days, weeks. I was traveling, and all these, 300, 400, 500 people might watch those. When I put the Garmin video out, I had 100,000 people watch a Garmin video about me just demoing a smartwatch. So I was like, whoa, okay. I kind of put that on the back burner, but when the pandemic hit, it went right back to, I got to do something. I know that was a winner. Let me try more of that. So my show progressed to really now what it is it's a golf equipment and technology review. And when I really decided to go all in on it, it was like June of last year. Then things really started to take off when I really dove into that and really kind of grabbed the bull by the horn. So that's how I got to be, I guess, standing in front of you guys here tonight. And that's a little bit about the pivot I made. In the end, I make more doing YouTube than I ever made running an agency with 4 or 5 employees, and doing a lot of business every year. The amazing thing now is I work for myself, right? I have no employees, no one to deal with. The buck stops here. I'm not outsourcing anything, so I'm doing the production, I'm video editing, I'm doing the graphic design, so you see the little thumbnails, which is very important on YouTube. Alex will talk about this in a little while. A complete one-man band, and I'm having a lot of fun. I'm more present with my own children, and I got no one to worry about but myself, which is actually pretty wonderful. So I know some of you we were talking in the back, are thinking about retirement. I know some of you have been entrepreneurs. So you kind of get that, right? Like, it's hard when you got other people's families and things on the line. And I'm really grateful that I found this, because otherwise, I don't know. I guess I don't know what I'd be doing. All right, so here's just a real quick visual. So this was my channel, my golf travel show that a few hundred people were watching. And then what happens is, this is like February and March of 2020. Is that right? No, that's 2021. It was right about here. I should have had the thing over here. That's when I really decided to dive all in on golf tech reviews. And you can see all of a sudden things started to look a lot better than the way we started. So a lot of people ask, what topics, what approaches work on YouTube. And my own example there will kind of give you a clue into what YouTube's really all about. YouTube, you hear the platitude that YouTube is a search engine, right? But it really truly is. And when I realized I mapped, people were asking a question, and if I had the answer to that question, I became much more successful all of a sudden on YouTube. It just so happened people weren't asking the question, what's it like to walk into the Harvard Club in Boston? No one really cared, except private club geek like me. But they did care on, how do you work a Garmin watch? Or what is this new piece of technology that you have and no one else has? What does it actually do? So I've done a couple of videos recently on a new piece of Garmin technology. I'm a big Garmin fan. I know this talk is not sponsored by Garmin, but in a way, it kind of is. So I have a piece of equipment right now. It's called the Garmin R10. It's like you could play golf on any golf course in the world from a room this size, right inside your house, which is nice in Florida when it rains. And I'm the only person in the world that has this unit and has been doing videos about it. So when I drop a Garmin video recently, it's 100,000, 200,000 views on these things. So it's pretty wild to see. And then again, it all started with something that sort of happened by accident. But what topics do work? People are looking for how-tos. They're looking for tips and tricks. That's the type of content on YouTube that really works well. Now, Alex is going to tell you about his family vlog channel and how he probably progressed there. But what they're doing, even though it's showing you kind of a little insight into their life, what they're doing on Alex's channel is they're actually showing you what's meal prep like for an entire week. They do these lunches, or his wife will go shopping at Target and Walmart, show you what's the latest. So people are searching for information. And all of you are probably qualified in your own little niches on something that's really specific and that you're really passionate about. And what me and Alex actually do is we show people how do you actually turn that passion into a business on YouTube and really answer the question that people are asking, right? What they're asking a question when they type that little search into a box. Garmin, how to use the Garmin R10. And if you're the answer, obviously you'll win. Here's just a screenshot of kind of what my channel has become. This is when I made this little switch. This is something I think that's a really important lesson. When I started the YouTube channel, I had this very big production. It was like a television style production. We had drones going, and I had 2 or 3 cameramen that were following us around. And it was great production quality, but what it really lacked was that personal, authentic feel to it. And that's what YouTube is really all about. People want to have an authentic connection with that person, that creator. All right, so you don't need. The reason I tell you that is you don't need to have the perfect camera. You don't need to have the perfect microphone. You don't need to have the perfect on-camera presence. You can be yourself on YouTube because that's what people are actually looking for. And when I made that shift, that was when those numbers really started to spike as well. So my whole shtick now is I do honest golf reviews from a mere mortal, right? And at first I was like, can I really demo a club? Can I swing a golf club and tell people what a golf club's like, even though I'm not a PGA professional? I'm a really good golfer, but I'm not a professional. I'm not nearly on that level. I can't hit it half as far as the guys on PGA Tour can. And there's a lot of YouTubers, that are that level of golfer, but what I found was people really connected with that, because guess what? Most people are like me. They're mere mortals. They don't hit a ball 350 yards. They hit it 250 yards like I do, or even less. So again, being the you in YouTube is for you to be you, and that's the really nice thing about it, and to give people an authentic experience and a little look into your world. Before we bring Alex up, the last major point I'd love to impart to you guys is that in whatever you do, I know some of you guys are podcasters, I know some of you guys have started YouTube channels or thinking about it, or you're maybe a blogger, or any of those sorts of things. The number one thing you can do is really deeply, passionately get to know your audience. And I said this at the podcasters meeting last month that we did. When I started my podcast, there was a guy, he was a general manager out in Colorado. And he wrote to me about 2 or 3 months into my podcast, and he said, Gabe, thank you so much for doing that show, because, listen, I don't get to go to any of the conferences. I'm 4 hours from even the closest colleague. I'm in a very remote part of Colorado. And your show, this is what he said to me, your show is the lifeline I have to the private club industry. And I took that really as a serious responsibility, and that's why every single Monday I put on a show. It wasn't because I was putting on a show to the world. I was putting on a show for that guy in Colorado. And if you can really deeply, fundamentally understand your audience and what they need, you'll be successful in whatever it is you do, especially on YouTube, but if it's podcasting, blogging, any of that sort of thing. And I've gone the extra step. I've sent, I know the super fans in my show because they comment on every video within an hour of me dropping that. And I'll send them t-shirts. I will ask them questions. If they email me, I won't just say thanks. I'll literally say, hey, what would you like to see next? And having that feedback, that one-on-one with your audience is absolutely priceless. I hit the wrong button. That's me, I think. Maybe it's not me. What you saw there really briefly was me in a car going to Costco. And the reason I was going to Costco, I never would have guessed it, but Costco sells this very inexpensive set of golf clubs that mere mortals like me and the people who watch my show can actually afford. Did we get it? There we go. That's me going to Costco. I drove, that thumbnail is from the video I did. I drove 4 hours for a set of Costco golf clubs. That was the title of the video. Those videos have had 500,000 views on it now. I did a little series of Costco videos. 500,000, which is to me pretty crazy. When I was doing my podcast and 50 people were listening, I was happy. And so when 500,000 people are watching, that's something else. It's in a lot of ways very humbling, But guess what? Why did I go to Costco? Why did I drive 4 hours? Because someone left a comment on my YouTube video, and I was very present to know that this could be a subject that other people were interested in. They said, hey, Gabe, have you checked out these Costco wedges? And I hadn't. But I knew my audience because I'd had all those interactions over the months and over the years, knowing that I know my avatar or my perfect YouTube viewer to such a degree that when I saw that comment, I knew that was something that would be really important to a lot of people because they wanted to save money. They're looking for something that's very good, and they want that value proposition. And like I said, I found a lot of success with those videos. So in whatever you do, make sure that you really deeply, truly get to know your audience. Ask them questions. I do Oops. Am I doing that, Steve? Or is it? There we go. I do polls all the time. So what's nice about YouTube is once you hit a certain level, you get access to different features that you wouldn't have had before. And Alex will bring some of this other stuff up, but one of the features you get as you get to a certain level of YouTube is you can actually start to have a community tab, which is like a social feed in your YouTube. And I ask people all the time, look, I asked them a question, literally, what do you want to see next? That's pretty much what the types of questions. So now I don't have to even guess. It gets easier as you get a bigger audience because they tell you what they want to see. This has 2.2 thousand people voted on this to find out what feature they want of that Garmin R10 I was telling you about, right? So talk about an active, engaged audience. But you've got to do the work. So people see the sexy video or they see the big numbers, but the real deep work goes into it is for me to connect with my audience enough that 2.2 thousand people decided to answer that poll. But that's time very well spent. Last thing I'll say before we bring Alex up here is I told you I had a marketing agency for many years. And I've run a lot of my own marketing campaigns. I've created ebooks. I've done courses, all sorts of things, trying to get people's emails. The reason an email is so important is because now you have a direct line. Like I said, that direct line is so very important. Well, YouTube, to me, I found out, YouTube is the most powerful way. People feel so connected with you when they see you. They see, like they're talking to a person. So, I've run campaigns trying to get people's email addresses before. And I've had middling success, I would say. I might have a couple hundred sign up, something like that. I did a video where I gave away that Garmin R10. I also gave away a set of golf clubs, Costco golf clubs, which is a great giveaway, but I've run giveaways before. I have to date in the last, let's see, I guess we're 2 months in now, 15,000 email addresses I got from that. And that shows you just how engaged the YouTube audience is. Never in my life have I had anything that had, got one thing that got 15,000 emails. Like I said, I was expecting like 200 or 300 when I put out the contest. But what's nice about that is, hey, if anything ever happens to YouTube, listen, I've got a direct line to my audience. So they can go with me wherever they go. So I guess before I hand it over to Alex, maybe there's a question or two I can answer for you guys or anything. Yes, sir. Good question. So, by the way, I drove down to Costco. I had to spend my own $500 on those golf clubs too. But those videos have paid me back, in tens of times, multiples. So the way you monetize on YouTube is once you hit 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours. So people have literally watched your content and consumed your content for 4 hours, then you're monetized. The way I'm monetized, actually, I might even have a slide for this. Yeah. Perfect timing, sir. Were you paid ahead of time to ask that question? It's the slide I forgot to talk about. Garmin. Thank you, Garmin. Mr. Garmin, Mrs. Garmin. There's different ways to monetize. So Google Ads, but about 30% of my revenue is from Google Ads. That's literally Google putting an ad on my videos or in the middle of my videos somewhere. It's good money, but it's only 30% of what I make. I make the vast majority of what I make is on affiliate. That's why it's at the top. So again, because I'm reviewing technology, I'll put links to Amazon or links to, I have a sponsor now that sponsors my show. They pay me a monthly, pretty good money monthly to sponsor my show. And they also give me 6% of the sales. Amazon will give you anywhere from like 2 to 8% depending on the category. So if it's beauty or something like that, it's lower. It's like 2%. But if you get into electronics, home and garden, that sort of thing, it might be as much as 6 to 8%. So affiliate revenue is really where I make probably 60% of my income. But again, these people trust me because they see me twice a week. I put out a video, and if I say that something is good or bad, they believe it, and they should, because I'm it's honest golf reviews from a mere mortal. Then you've got merch. So a lot of creators will have a little merch shelf underneath. That happens when you get over 10,000 subscribers. You can sell like directly on the YouTube platform. You'll sell t-shirts, hats, mugs, that sort of thing. I told you I've got sponsors that sponsor my show. And then you've got things like Patreon, or what YouTube calls channel memberships. And I've got, I think 3 or 4 members at this time right now. One guy pays $50 a month just for me because he likes me. And a couple other people pay like $5 or $10 a month. And then you've got courses and products. So the next evolution, and the reason I wanted those 15,000 emails, the other reason I wanted that, because I'm a marketer, a lot of YouTubers are not, is I'm eventually, and this stays in this room because I don't want it to get out, I'm going to create my own line of golf clubs. Okay? So it's golf clubs that are officially Let's Play Through golf clubs. I know the values there. I know exactly the price point because I know my audience. and we're going to create Let's Play Through golf clubs. And now I've got a hungry email list of 15,000 people already, and we'll see where that gets to by the time we release them. So, but you can sell your courses, your products, and that sort of thing. So the YouTube ad revenue itself is great, but it's only if you're really a smart business person or an entrepreneur, you'll know that there's a lot more opportunities when you've got that direct line and that direct communication. And I've never found a platform like YouTube where it's that powerful, even when I did a podcast. This is the most powerful platform on the world for people really feeling. People ask me all the time, "Hey Gabe, I'm going to be in Tampa. Can we play golf?" As if I'm going to say yes to that, you know. But what I did is I'm setting up. There were so many people asked that I said, "Okay, we'll do a Let's Play Through Golf Day, and we're going to do it on September 29th. And if you're a fan of the show and you want to play, you can come play golf where I shoot all my shows." And people are signing up for that because they want to do it. But people feel like they're your friend with YouTube, which is interesting. Anyway, it's something I found. So, any other questions before I hand it over to Alex? I'm going to hand it over to Alex. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.